All right, we're back. That first match, if you're just tuning in now, you're like, oh, I missed the first match. Don't feel too bad. You don't really need to watch the VODs for that one.
Yeah.
Not really the greatest match.
I hate saying that, actually, but the thing is there's so much good StarCraft coming out of Korea right now that you really don't have to watch everything.
Yeah.
You got to filter the coffee.
You have to filter. Did you say the coffee?
Yeah.
Huh.
Get those
why did you
grounds
call it
out,
that?
man. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I see what you want.
If you want to watch the best StarCraft, it's like a really good coffee. You just like pick the best ones and spend your time that way.
Look, you got to wash your spinach. That's all there is to it.
By the way, I highly favor ByuL in this one, like highly, like as highly as I favored God, I'm like Solar. I couldn't remember his name. Yeah.
Favor ByuL over Deer the same amount you favored Solar over Journey.
Yeah, I think Deer is like way off his rocker right now, man.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind? How could you possibly favor ByuL as much or more than you favored Solar?
Not more, but as much, yeah, I would.
That is actually crazy. Even if Deer is not playing the best StarCraft of his life, he is so significantly better than what Journey is. And, I mean, come on. This is closer than what you just said.
Well, I mean, I feel like I favor him as much as like I think about the win. Not like I feel like he's on the same level of Journey. Definitely, I don't feel that way.
Of course, but like, I'm in shock that you would say that, because for me this is actually a pretty close match. ByuL, he's been one of my favorite Zergs for a very long time, but Deer has shown some good games lately. He's not in the deep slump he was before.
Well, let's find out. He's got to prove himself today. If he doesn't, he's going to find himself back in Code B. He's up against a Protoss Slayer in ByuL.
In the top left, Wolf thinks he sucks. He is.
Deer.
I never said that. I never said anything like it.
It's all right. This is the internet. All people do is accuse you of saying things you never said.
I do think he looks really good in that mouse sports jacket, though.
Yeah, it goes well with him.
It's insanely good for him. His opponent is
Bjorn.
Formerly Fnatic.
Great player indeed. Very, very strong Zerg.
Really coming into his own recently, I would say.
Look, he's been one of the best Zergs for a while, and he's like showing it more and more and more. But even remember back when he first debuted in the team leagues, he was still like godly looking, and he still is. He's such a solid and good Zerg player.
He's hard to break. You know, he's very calm. You know, you can very rarely catch him off guard with a timing attack, and I think that he has this extra strength to him. That you know, is just kind of like this passive strength that he has that's not even really that important unless he gets all in. But
he'll basically, no matter what happens, he'll get his macro going.
Yeah.
And he's like very resilient, and he's decisive enough. He's just like a really great Zerg player. He's one of these guys that if he just keeps improving like he has been, he's going to be nearly unstoppable. He just hatched first at the gold, by the way. Yeah, that's cool. Well, I mean, if you're going to drone scout that quick, it better be for a reason, right? And Deer probably already suspects this from seeing this drone come in this early, thinking, oh, okay.
Yeah, he'll probably go right over there.
Gold. I would be very surprised if he doesn't jaunt into the gold.
Yeah, he's got to go over there and check. Now, ByuL also is going to make sure that Deer can't take this gold base. He's going to block it.
Actually, he took that gold as well.
That would be pretty fun.
Double gold before pool.
Well, all right, well, actually the probe's not headed in that direction.
Doesn't look like it.
But I guess he's going to check the natural first, and then he'll probably swing back.
As soon as he sees no hatch, then naturally he has to know, right? Because he would see Zerglings by now, otherwise.
Yep.
So check the pool. He's like, okay, you have the gold.
Yep, no gases.
Now, you know, the gold base, it's very interesting, this map, I think, because it's kind of small and the gold bases are so close to your opponent. The way to play this, because there's a few different ways, and I think that one of the reasons why we see really terrible strategies happen a lot, like people floating their command center over there, is because people panic when there's a gold.
Yeah.
And they just like forget a bunch of fundamental stuff.
Right. You don't practice against gold base income a lot, so sometimes you misjudge how much income that actually is or what that actually means.
Yeah.
We've seen also a lot of weird builds on this map trying to rely on like Tempest and even like in the rarest stats case carriers.
Yeah.
And I think that's partially due to In fact, there's a lot of dead airspace on this map. It gives the illusion of I can just kind of float around and do whatever I want, especially if I have that gold base up. If you secure the gold for long enough, it pays for itself, and then it becomes incredibly difficult to kill because you have enough extra units from that gold base to defend it. And then your opponent's like, wow, now he's got that solid third base defensible location, and his fourth base is even harder to attack because it's at the bottom left.
Yes.
Further away from where I want to punish.
That's what I wanted to hear, Wolf. It is very hard to kill because it's like a tempo base. It like gives you extra units quicker with less workers. So people are like, well, I better go kill it, and then they go out and their opponent has more army than they're used to. By the way, these two Lings actually doing some real work here.
Good control by Deer, though, actually not taking too much damage there at all.
Yeah, he actually didn't lose any probes, which is quite nice. But seriously, people just go out and try to kill it, and then suddenly there's more units than they expect, and then it doesn't work, and they lose. And they're like, oh, this strategy's good. No, it's not that it, I mean, well, the floating one's bad, but I mean, a strategy like this isn't bad. It's just you have to know that you can't just walk out and kill it.
Right.
Like, ByuL is going to have a funny amount of units at a time you don't expect. So you have to back up and try to figure out, is he making a ton of units right now? Well, then I have to play extra defensive because that gold base doesn't have more minerals than a regular base, right?
Yeah.
And it is going to mine out quicker as well.
It's true. It's very temporary.
Yeah.
Poking up this fast can definitely give you a bit of an edge on that base, but unfortunately, with all these Lings being made, he's not going to keep the pylon. Now, what this does do is keep the drone count low, but in ByuL's perspective, he's okay with that because he doesn't need as many drones to mine from this hatchery because it's a gold base.
That's right. Look at how many Lings he's making right now.
There's going to be a long time, I feel, before Deer is going to be able to secure a third base with how he's open here. But all these Lings on the map and with speed about to finish, how is he going to get a third Nexus?
Well, I would say here, you know, he is getting +1, which is going to help out. He needs to sit back, add some production. He needs to be on top of scouting. He does have 4 sentries, so he definitely can do that. But seriously, if he tries to walk out with a 2-base attack to kill off this 3-base that has a gold first, it's never going to work, ever.
Oh, he's in so much trouble, man. He doesn't have a third. He saves these 2 Stalkers, thankfully, for him. Speed didn't finish in time to kill that. Although, well, you know, with these Lings here, you might actually get it. You might force a recall. No, not quite. The Ling speed's still not quite done, but now it is.
Well, he's wanting to go and pressure a bit more. Thing is, he has enough sentries and the mothership core, so he could do this without losing anything too expensive, but looks like he is instead just going to lose a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, this is not good at all. Goodbye, sentries.
Kills off a bunch of Lings, loses 3 sentries, 2 Stalkers, and all of his energy on the 1 remaining sentry. But he did kill a decent amount of Lings there, at least.
Yeah, the worker count still, like, you know, not significantly in ByuL's favor as much as you would like it to be, but just look at the income at the top right. He's 600 minerals up with that gold base, only being 3 harvesters up. And losing this Overlord is kind of painful. If he does, in fact, snipe that, I think he will with the +1 on those sentries. Tickle it to death.
There he goes. All right, so is he going to take this? Yeah, it looks like he's going to take the gold as his third. But he is going to have to sit back and play defensively from here because he's already lost 3 sentries. He's taking a third base at this point. Doesn't really have like the greatest tech or anything like that. I feel like he needs to sit back and defend for a bit.
Yeah, he needs to always constantly be sending hallucinated Phoenix Scouts to find out what ByuL is doing because he needs to identify that ByuL's kind of tech is also a little bit late here, and he's not going for Spire. He's going into Roach, but it's a slow Roach transition where we're at 10 minutes, and he's starting +1. He's starting Roach speed. So if he can identify the composition, it's a little bit easier for him to counter this. Fast Burrow also gets scouted here by that observer.
ByuL definitely a player that gets Burrow every game in ZVP.
Yeah,
he uses it to very good effect. This time, I mean, they're just kind of sitting there. The observer saw him, so it's not doing what he intended, but that's okay. Now these Roaches walking over. He's making quite a few. Roach oftentimes the unit of choice when you take that gold base, even if you take it against Terran, because of the huge added mineral boost that you get so quickly.
Yeah.
But he is going into Spire. Do you think we're going to see mutas here?
Eventually, but not for a while. I don't think he's going to get those out right now. He doesn't have the gas. Well, he is banking up some gas here, but I think it's more so just kind of like a switch to mutas as possible, and also if he needs Corruptors right now, because he hasn't been able to send an Overseer in to see if there's Colossus tech. He's sending one in right now, and I think he's trying to like figure out what exactly
what does he need to make from here. Well, you know, his economy is getting pretty sick. They're taking a 4th base and a 5th base at the moment, having 3 bases mining, one of which being a gold from early on. He can do basically anything he wants. He just has to know what Deer is doing so he doesn't mess up.
That Overseer that he sends in, if he sees the timing of this robotic support bait, what he might do is start Mutas, because he knows that the switch into robotics-oriented units like those Colossi and also the Immortals he's making right now means he doesn't have a ton of anti-air, but this is a very strong Protoss army that's coming out here just simply because of the force fields and the Immortals.
Just completely attacking right now against someone who's switching into Mutas at this moment. It's one of the best ways to counter Mutas is to just go and attack, because this is when the Zerg army is the absolute weakest, when they're making their first batch of Mutas. Now, his army is kind of split up right now. Looks like he's going to lose a couple extra units because he is fighting on 2 fronts.
Oh, and there's not a lot of Stalkers here. Although the Mulus count, they're not all together here. Now they're coming in.
And, well, you know what? He has +2 attack and now Blink for his Stalkers. Unfortunately, he does lose, I think he lost 1 sentry there. But he's going to be able to warp in a lot of Stalkers. We'll see if ByuL can actually stop this. I think he's going to lose a base for sure.
Well, the gold base is toast, I'd say. I mean, the Mutalists are now going to come over to the other gold base, but there's enough cannons here to ward this off. He's going to basically fight cannons while he's losing bases at home. He has 4 spine crawlers that he finished, but that's not going to be enough to save him here. Or is it? He's got a few lings coming down.
It might save that base, but if his opponent does walk down, if Deer goes down to that, what is the 4th base, soon to be called the 3rd, he might be able to pick that off since there's nothing down there. But no, he's going for the throat.
Yeah, the Mutalists, I feel, need to go home and kill this. But I think he's scared, too, that, there's a recall available here. And so if he tries to come home, he's going to lose, whatever was attacking here is going to kill his base. And then, all right, he needs to start in the Mothership Core, I would say.
Yeah, I think that would be a good call here, because maybe really recall is the only way out. But
he just used the Time Warp, so I guess he doesn't have recall after all.
Well, more Stalkers coming in, but Lings are being produced, and it looks like ByuL will end up holding this. And at the end of the day, the counterattack from ByuL that you mentioned... Oh, hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. First, these Zealots warping in and harassing the main, but actually the placement of that hatchery and the Queen really messing with their AI.
Yep, and he's losing a few more units actually at his gold base. The gold base is not super important right now, but the drones certainly are. He saves those, or attempts to save those with the burrow. There is an observer nearby, though, so he's going to lose them slowly but steadily here. This is really hurting the economy of ByuL. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to recover from this at 40 harvesters, losing this hatchery as well.
Yeah, this is quite well played by Deer. I'm really excited to actually analyze a little bit deeper after this game is over, the beautiful moves that we've seen from Deer here, but it's not actually over yet. ByuL has 4 bases. Yes, he lost the gold, but he mined most of it out, and his bases are far enough away. And if you look at the unit tab right now, it's a Stalker army. It's a Stalker with 2 sentries he just warped in, and when you're just warping in Stalkers, you better be killing them at that moment. Yeah. And the thing is, he's not.
And these Lings are going to do so much damage. The Stalkers are so far away. On the way this map works, you can't just blink home. He needs to... Oh god, he's going to lose so many harvesters here. This is exactly what ByuL needed.
He actually just, all at once, Deer just died.
This counterattack doesn't have any spine crawlers up against it.
That's true. And he's splitting up some Stalkers here, try to hit multiple bases at once. He needs to stop the economy immediately. Is his army actually big enough? Now he's putting everything into Stalkers.
Yeah, he just warped in a bunch of Stalkers that are actually just going to die. That's like a panic reaction, where you're like, I got to warp 4 Stalkers. He warped them in underneath the Mutalists and they all just died.
Yeah, that's a panic move for sure.
That's just one of those panic reactions that happens when you're trying to buy time. It's definitely not worth it.
In a game like this, you have to warp them in with your army. Your only chance is the base race.
Yep.
And you know what? He doesn't even have a probe to build any buildings.
Yeah, and there's already a ton of spines being queued up at the bottom expansion. The Stalker's never going to kill that.
So it looks like it's not actually going to end up working. But Deer made some really nice moves this game that were quite impressive. And I guess I can start talking about them now, because this game is the point where eventually Zerg just rallies all his units over and kills them. Yeah, 22 Mutas against 20 Stalkers doesn't quite win, but
well,
when you add all the Lings, and the spines that he has to go after.
Yeah, he doesn't have to attack them until he chooses to.
Yeah,
he has a base up.
Exactly. So just to kind of go over this, first off, he did attack into the gold as it was nearing mining out, and that's we were talking before about. It doesn't necessarily have actually more minerals at it. It gives you a tempo advantage and gets you more units than you expect. And the thing is, he looked at it and he said, okay, you're going Mutas. I'm going to move out and attack now, because that's what you do against Mutas. You move out then or you die, because you have to force the Mutas to engage you. I see what he was thinking, but the way the gold base was taken, I don't know if that was really the best call. I think it's better just say, okay, you got the gold base, good work. But that being said, the way that he left a couple Zealots there and then went after the natural was actually very intelligent because, yes, he didn't get to kill the gold until later, but it forced ByuL to recall all his mutas from the harassment on Deer, because if he didn't, then Deer kills 2 bases right there, all the defensive structures, starts killing tech, and then he's in real trouble. And he has
the gold to back it up too. If the gold nexus is still there, you know, even if he loses a few probes,
you know,
I don't think he's killing that with all those cannons there. So then he has that base up, and he's killed the bases of ByuL, and he could definitely recover from there. There are a few shaky decisions, a few shaky move outs, like when he moved out against those speedlings and lost a few sentries there, lost all his energy, lost basically any chance he had of getting a tempo advantage by forcing more units out of ByuL. He already made the units and he was ready for it, so he walked into a trap essentially there.
Well, the tempo advantage is going to go to the guy who has the gold base. That's just the way things are. So, you know, I think that overall it was a mistake for Deer, what he did there, but like it was very intelligent the way he did it. Maybe not the decision to do it, but the way he did it was great.
What do you think about picking Frost against ByuL? I don't like it.
You know, I think it's fine, to be honest. Frost it's such a big map that you don't have to worry about Stormhost too much, but ByuL is very good with mutas, which makes me a little bit scared because muta's going to be fine on Frost.
It basically says to me is like Deer is looking at this like the way Zest looks at this matchup oftentimes, is like saying like late game is actually for PvZ, not for ZVP, like favored. And this basically, just looking at this tells me that Deer has the attitude of, okay, I didn't quite get to my late game Protoss on that last map. It's a hard map to get there, and on Frost I have a much better chance to actually fight you in the late game, and that's what he wants to do. It's tough to fight ByuL in the late game, though. That's where he really shines.
It is. He is a macro Zerg through and through. So it could be a tough one, but I think Frost is just a good map overall. And with like Yonsu and Heavy Rain gone, I think right at this second there's no obvious pick for Protoss. It's kind of a stylistic choice. Like, are you comfortable with Air Toss? Well, go Ultrazine.
Yeah.
You know, do you just want to be able to get into a regular macro game? Okay, Frost is a fine choice, but there's nothing like I want to immortal push, and you're like clapping like this.
Yeah.
And you choose Yonsu. There's nothing like that right now.
The's no Polar
Maybe
Knight
one
either.
of these new maps will be like that. We're not sure yet.
Yeah, no Polar Knight to do that on either, so definitely got to be feeling a little bit more late game focused right now as a Protoss player in this matchup. ByuL looking pretty confident though. Shutting that down, getting that early gold base on Habitation Station. Looks like it's finally time to go into game number 2. Can Deer, a champion, tie this series up 1-1, or is ByuL going to knock him down to the losers match?